But then once I said yes, and then I realized, अरे बाप रे, इतनी training करनी पड़ेगी. I was like, oh, why did I sign this movie? So through the months and months of going through that physical training part of it, being on a diet, everybody eating all the foods that you love in front of you. But right now I'm in action mode. So I'm fit. I really had a blast shooting for Crack. It was extremely challenging because I didn't think it would be so challenging actually when I signed the film. But Vidyut is a phenomenal athlete. Phenomenal. He's a world-class martial arts, ranked in the top 5 in the world.
True.
Performers. And doing a film with him really made me up my game in that genre. You give a lot of failures and successes also, and then people write you off. And that, unfortunately, is something which is not in our control. What happens at the box office. Should a film really be judged on a box office? That's debatable.
Namaste Darshako, I am Manjari Mukherjee and you're watching me on Not So Mainstream, only on Pop Diaries channel exclusively. A place where we have a conversation with some conventional people about their very unconventional journeys. Yes, and bringing such a story is the guest of today. They say na, jab you look at him, you can't look away. Well, I completely agree because with very great difficulty, I am looking at you guys and introducing this guest of mine. I'm honored because he's unconventional in every manner. From the characters he surrenders himself to on screen, to the talent which has no bars and boundaries, and obviously the one who's completely indeed made us believe that conventional hona can be boring. So please be unconventional, and his journey is absolutely a complete amalgamation of true hard work and passion. The one and only Arjun Rampal. Welcome on Pop Diaries.
Oh my God, thank you, Manjari. That's very sweet of you.
I mean, thank you for being here. I have so much to talk to you about because this is the first time I'm having a conversation with sir. And the first
Please don't call me sir, you can call me Arjun.
I don't mind. I am, from the moment I've set my eyes on you, I'm swooning already. So I am okay with Arjun as well.
Yeah.
So Arjun, first thing, I have to tell you, Crack trailer looks intense. I was talking about it as well. More than emotional, I felt that it was it looks physically very challenging, taxing as well. And I think you guys should know that Arjun has done some of the stunts on his own. And that is commendable because looking at the trailer, I can see how dangerous they can be. One moment where you actually felt that, abhi to nahi ho payega aur mujhse. It's very difficult for me.
There was not one moment, there were many moments like that. I think it started off with first, it's easy to say yes to something, right? I think that's the easiest thing to do. So once saying yes was difficult, but then was not difficult. It happened pretty quickly. But then once I said yes, and then I realized, अरे बाप रे, इतनी training करनी पड़ेगी. I was like, oh, why did I sign this movie? So through the months and months of going through that physical training part of it, being on a diet, everybody eating all the foods that you love in front of you, and you're eating like a little egg, and just protein, and staying off all of that. It was quite taxing at some point in time, but I said कि बस मुझसे नहीं होगा यार, मैं इनकी साइनिंग अमाउंट वापस कर देता उनको जाके पिक्चर बनाने दो. Then to do the slacklining and training in that, do the rappelling, it was all great fun. I really wanted to do a proper big action film. Crack was one of those things that was coming my way. Then I slipped my disc while I was shooting.
Oh my God.
And my L5S1, I slipped it, and it was a pretty bad injury, and we had just the climax to shoot they gave me 2 weeks off to go back and, rest it out. And after 2 weeks, I had to come back and finish the climax bit. And while shooting the climax bit, I slipped it again. And it became even worse. So, and there was a shot where I had to pick up Vidyut and throw him. And he was like, oh my God, he's not going to be able to do it. And I went back to my trailer and I said, I'm not going to be able to do this. And there was a box of biryani which had been ordered for me because it was my last day of shoot as well. And I was like, and I won't be able to eat that for 2 months if I don't do this now. So I went back and I did it and came back and finished my
Biryani to the
biryani.
rescue. Oh my God, wow. What motivation. Wow, super. That's an interesting anecdote, honestly. I want to know, you are doing some grey characters, some dark characters, but what makes you drawn to such kind of characters? And I also want to add on, us girls, we love romantic heroes. We've seen you in romantic hero as well. So वो मोड वापस कब आएगा?
हाँ, तभी वो रोमांटिक हीरो का तो दौरा ही चला गया मेरे ख्याल से.
अब वैसा टाइप का, हाँ.
वैसा टाइप का तो होगा ही नहीं, जूते पड़ेंगे अगर वैसी पिक्चर बना दी वापस तो आई थिंक there's an age for that. The youngsters who are doing that, so you should go to them for those kind of roles. Me, if you see a romance, I love romance. I think it's a beautiful genre. I love love stories. A good love story can be very meaningful, touching, very difficult to make. Far more difficult than doing an action film.
Right.
Because it's true emotions. It's like simplicity. It's realism. To bring all that out. I would love to do a film like that. I don't know when I'll get a script like that, but if I get a script like that, I would love to do it. But right now I'm in action mode. Because I'm fit. I really, really had a blast shooting for Crack. It was extremely challenging because I didn't think it would be so challenging actually when I signed the film. But Vidyut is a phenomenal athlete. Phenomenal. He's a world-class martial arts, ranked in the top 5 in the world.
True.
Performers. And doing a film with him really made me up my game in that genre. I really wanted to do a big action film. I'd done action films before, but they were different. Times have changed. You really do need a massive budget to go and do proper big action. Vidyut was willing to take a punt on this film. He really wanted me to be a part of it because he believed that I could be able to do justice to that character. He'd seen me, through the years and knows that I'm athletic and not just lifting weights because that's the way I train. I do a very strong cardiovascular routine as well. And so when we got talking about it, it was very interesting to know that he was going to bring these world champions who are also athletes. Now, it's one thing to say all of that. It's one thing to experience all of that. When I was on set and I'm seeing these guys doing somersaults, backflips, so easily going through these little windows, climbing, doing parkour, just like anything. It was just like defying gravity kind of moves that were happening all around me. The challenge for me was, how am I going to look like an athlete? I will also have to be an athlete here. So it was about taking myself to that level. I hopefully have achieved that, which you will kind of see when you see the film. But it was that. And it's lovely to be able to, even today, like you were saying, you do these kind of roles and that kind of roles. The reason I do those roles, because I feel every actor should just not stay in a comfort zone. The minute you take yourself out of a comfort zone, you're going to tread on something which is going to be really, really fun. You're going to experience something, you're going to get something new, you're going to be able to talk about it. You're going to be able to write about it in your diary or your journal, Okay, you're going to be, if there's a movie made on you, then, there would be nice anecdotes and experiences to share.
That's a nice way to look at it. And actually, I was going to ask you because you are one of those few actors who've carved their own niche. Like their own niche. Like you've taken risks, you've done characters which most of them would have not done it. And you did not show any inhibition. Like where did you bring that kind of an, thinking that this is how I want to carve my niche out. This is how I want to span my career out.
Well, I think certain things happen organically, and certain things happen not so organically, where sometimes you're also left with lack of choice, and you kind of take certain decisions, and sometimes those become blessings in disguises, which you say, hey, that was good fun, actually. You're like, oh God, I don't have a choice to do this. But when you go there and you really do it with your heart and you do it honestly, it works. Today, I think I'm in a position where I have had enough experience behind me.
Absolutely.
And the choices that I make are truly going to be the work that I'd be remembered for. So it's about leaving that behind. I mean, people come and go. Your work will always stay. If you can go with that kind of attitude, if you have that attitude towards your work, you will be a little more cautious about what you choose.
I completely agree. And actually, on that note, this is something that I feel is a norm in the industry itself. And, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they say that 10 successes, you give lots and lots of successes. But then there's that one moment where maybe for some reason you fail to deliver. And suddenly, people are very quick to just kind of judge you on that. Has there ever been a moment for you personally where you have been judged for your one moment of failure after giving so many successes in a row?
You give a lot of failures and successes also, and then people write you off. And that, unfortunately, is something which is not in our control. What happens at the box office. Should a film really be judged on a box office? That's debatable. Because sometimes really, really good films don't garner those kind of collections. But those films live on way past a film that could have become a massive success at the box office, but not aged as gracefully and kind of, wither away. But those classic films which you really do, and which did have some meaning and maybe didn't do that well commercially, have a longevity. And now it really so it's a double-edged sword sometimes. You've got to get the commercial films to work because it's finally a business, and if those do not work, maybe you will never get the opportunity to do a beautiful movie. So for me personally, I think being judged and I'm not saying that in a way to put down the audience in any way, but I feel the audience is extremely intelligent. But if you kind of make a film for the audience, exactly for the audience, and sometimes those films do work, I think you're disrespecting your audience in a way, because you're being so smart and proud to know how that guy is going to think. How can you be so, think? I feel films that I do should be some things which audiences come in there and are going to be surprised to watch. And hopefully I can be able to blend a certain level of commercialism, which is what I keep looking for, which makes it more accessible and enjoyable for a person to go and watch a film, but with also a good story, which kind of people say, hey man, that was really, really good. So even in Crack, I mean, when you look at it, there is, of course, the whole thing is it's a spectacle. There's some tremendous action pieces that happen because of this race that keeps going on out there, which I'm in charge of, and then finally a race between us. But there is a story there which drives the whole film forward, and that lends itself to us becoming great characters. That's memorable characters. I think these characters will be memorable. So I think that's what you kind of work towards. That's the best you can do.
Absolutely. I think that's a very innovative way of looking at box office numbers and, an actor's credibility being judged on that same thing
See,
as well.
tomorrow, for example, crack doesn't work. Say, God forbid. Okay, the worst thing that happens is the film doesn't do well. Am I going to say that Crack was a bad film? I would never say that because I know that Crack's a good film.
Cool. I think that adds a very different kind of take on it. Okay, moving forward. Arjun, I have to tell you that I don't know how you do this whole, keeping yourself together, looking fit, healthy, and just aging in reverse. And I have to tell you, have you ever noticed, like, there are female fans out there who are just, can I say the word thirsting? They're thirsting over you on
That's a
social
very
media.
bad word.
I mean, basically swooning, as I said. So,
That's a very embarrassing word.
But that's what is happening. So, how do you do that? I think you should give tips to all those guys out there as well.
Oh God, really?
Lots of pressure.
No, I see. I mean, fitness for me has always been a lifestyle. It's not about aesthetically making yourself 8 packs and this, that. Yes, for a film, sometimes you got to do it, can you maintain it right through? You can, but it's like a tremendous amount of sacrifice. You want to do those kind of sacrifices? Sure, if you want to be vain and look exactly in a particular way. But that doesn't mean that a person who doesn't have an 8 pack is not a fit guy. A guy without an 8 pack can be maybe a fitter guy than you. He could run longer, he could swim longer, he could stand longer, he could have a lot more stamina, he could dance better, he could do so many more things. So, I mean, fitness is something which is like a lifestyle. You should just have it, you should take it, and you should just spend 1 hour for yourself every single day. And if you do that, you're going to be fine. Of course, watch a little bit of what you eat, but don't also deny yourself everything. If you see yourself having more bad habits than good ones, then increase the good habits more and reduce the bad habits, and the scales will tip in your favor. So that's it. It's about creating good habits. If you create good habits, it's all going to happen. I've gone through a phase in my life. I've had a lot of bad habits. I've done, everything that I wanted to do at that point in time. And I've seen how that affects your body. And therefore, it then kind of, you say, okay, now I'm going to take care of myself. The minute you start taking care of yourself, which is by creating more good habits, you will see yourself blooming again, like a bud, like yourself, okay? Like Manjari, you want to just blossom.
Thank you. And I also think I need to add this on. I don't know if any people know out there, but you should also learn guitar like Arjun has learned guitar. We've seen you in Rock On, but I know for a fact that you know how to.
I do play a few chords here and there. I'm not like an incredible guitarist, but that's what films do. They teach you so many things. Like you learn to play the guitar, or you learn to cycle or rappel, or jump out of an aeroplane, and know how to pull the parachute, and go underwater swimming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super. Okay.
Pretend to fall in love.
That came out of nowhere. Okay, moving forward. This is something that I really want to know. There's a lot of success stories out there. Everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about your success here and there, but nobody really remembers the days when you're struggling. When a person looks at an actor, a celebrity, actually a star, they only see the glitter around them.
Yeah.
They don't see the struggle that they've gone through. If there's one such incident that you can share with us today, Arjun, that one incident from your struggling days, and how you overcame those days, obviously.
The reason why you don't remember that is because sometimes even when you go through a really rough time, okay, and when good times come, you tend to forget them. You yourself tend to forget them because you're so scared of thinking about that and manifesting that time again, that you don't want to think about it. It's almost like a defense mechanism, I think, in an actor or in any celebrity. They just don't want to, like, revisit it till you reach a point of security where you can go back and revisit it and then give a pat on yourself on the shoulders, because it's really a nightmare, a struggle when a person goes through. For everybody goes through it, and everybody has a different experience in it. But where you just don't see the light and you don't know how you're going to come out of it, is it's very shattering, for you as an individual. You really have to be strong and see yourself through at that point in time. I remember when I was a very successful model when I had started acting, and Ashok Mehta had come to me with this film Moksh, and I was paired opposite a fantastic actor, Manisha Koirala, who was at her peak at that time. She'd just done Bombay and all of those kind of films, and she was like on a roll, and she was doing really, really well. Beautiful, natural, so much ease. And I was doing a scene with her once, and we were shooting in the Chambal Valley, and then the rushes came, and I was watching them in Mumbai, and I saw myself, and I hated myself, and I was like, oh my God, you're horrible. And the reason I felt that was because when the camera came on, it was like how I had trained myself as a model. It was in my muscle memory. So I would react like a model. It was like more posy. And so I was feeling very stiff. I was not easy. I was very conscious about the camera. With acting, you have to forget the camera. I mean, you have to know what the camera is. Okay, there's a close-up that comes with time. But the more free you are, and the more easy you are, the more into character you are, the camera is going to capture you anyways. So I didn't know that. And so I said, okay, so I'm not going to model anymore, and that I retired from modeling. I didn't know that film's going to take 6 years to get made. So I had no source of income in that period of time. I remember I was living in 7 bungalows at that time. I had an apartment, and I had a wonderful landlord. He was a Sardarji, and he'd come on the first of every month, and he'd look at me, and I'd look at him, and he said, "Nahi hai." I'd be like, "Nahi hai," and "Koi nahi yaar, tu de dega mujhe." He was the sweetest man. You need those kind of breaks in your life. And so I said, okay. And of course, I paid him back, and I signed a film after that. As soon as I signed film, it came even for the premiere of my film. But I mean, that was even after I'd moved. I'd moved to a smaller place, but there was no way I could tell the Sardarji I didn't have, for 3 months I had not paid him a rent. So we had to move to another place. So I went to a smaller place, and I stayed there. I remember I had 2 dogs there, and they would, I would eat veg food, and they would eat non-veg food. And I was like, why is this happening to me? And it's just about, it's important to know these things, because then when you get something, you treat it with gratitude, you treat it with respect, and and when you see somebody else struggling, you remember that Sardarji who helped you at that point in time, and you can easily put out your hand.
Wow. So, wow. That was something that, and obviously not many people would know about that. And thank you for sharing that with us.
No, my pleasure.
Because I think I took away something from that as well myself. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Before I go off, Arjun, I have to ask you, you've worked with so many co-stars. And what is that one co-star who's, left behind a very lasting impression? I'm sure all of them did. But one thing that you've taken with you, like you've learned from them, what would that be?
I think that would be Mr. Bachchan, hands down. I mean, just the dedication, the passion, the joie de vivre, which is the joy of life in a man, how he celebrates life, how he doesn't take anything for granted, how he manages his time so fantastically, and has so much passion about everything that he does and does everything with the same amount of enthusiasm. It's phenomenal.
And before, this is my last thing, because you're a not so mainstream, and I think you are someone who's loved by the audience out there, loved for your work, for your craft. But what is that one thing that makes you completely not so mainstream? Like you think that I don't belong to the, as I said, you don't belong to the mainstream. You have made your own niche. So what do you think that makes you not so mainstream?
That I do things my way.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was Arjun Rampal with me, Manjari Mukherjee, on Not So Mainstream, only on Pop Diaries channel. I hope you loved this very beautiful conversation. I am taking a lot away from you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was lovely talking to you.
Same here. It's long been on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I'm taking it
Oh,
off.
fantastic. Great.
And I hope to talk to you again. I really wish you all the success for Crack.
Please take everybody in to watch the film.
Definitely.
It's a very important film
Yes,
because
absolutely.
Vidyut is like a brother now, and he's really put everything into it. People always say you should be given this and this chance and that chance and this. Well, it's time to stop saying it and time to believe it. So go watch Crack.
Absolutely. This was me, Manjari Mukherjee, signing off from Pop Diaries channel. What will you do? Definitely go and watch Crack, but also like this, share this, and comment. And don't forget to click on that bell icon. Until next time, bye.